Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. So happy to have you here this Monday morning. Today, we're going to be talking about follow-up. My sponsor, Sharon Farrar, she says consistency is king. She has an excellent training. I feel like she should definitely be on the main stage with that training or at like every boot camp. She's really good at that. And I'm here because she was really good at consistent follow-up. It was multiple times of talking to me on the phone, talking to me in person, and just helping to overcome objection after objection after objection that I had. And she moved me from the point of interested to the point of ordering to becoming a team member, pretty much all within a month span. And I kind of signed up and joined close to the same time. And I always think if she had been, if she had followed up with me sometimes the way I follow up with people, I would not be here. I wouldn't have this amazing life and business and so many rich friendships. And so I'm just super thankful that she was very consistent and she did follow up very well. And I just think that there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from that. So I wanted to talk to you guys sort of within the follow-up or the starting of the conversation. How do expectations, play into our follow-up? Okay, so that's kind of where we're going to go with this. We've talked about expectations and we've talked about follow-up before, but we're just going to kind of mesh these together because it's something that I'm seeing coming up in conversation multiple times. So expectations, we have to be careful with those anyway. A lot of times those are centered around comparisons. We have the idea that I share this with you and then I expect you're going to get back with me. I expect you're not going to leave me on red. I expect that you're going to answer back and say, oh, it's exactly what I wanted. Here's my credit card. How do I order that? Sometimes that happens, right? But that's like the dream conversation, and that's not typical. So expectations can really hit us hard and it will tear us down and it really starts to create doubt. I feel like expectations are sort of like the driver, and then in the passenger seat is comparison, and in the back seat you've got doubt crying out in the car seat back there, and they just are terrible companions to go on a road trip with. Not something I would not the three people I would choose to go on a vacation with. And so those three mindsets, though, they play well together. Sadly, they fuel each other and they can just be really destructive really fast. And I don't know about you guys, but I've also heard this a couple times of just the drought, if you will, of this summer. Now, I live in the desert and it's definitely dry. Like so much that our grass is dying. We have a wedding that we're hosting in our backyard in September 16th. And so I was looking at the grass the other day and I was like, it's dying. Like we're not watering enough. Like the sprinklers must be broken. Like something's wrong because, what are we going to do in, this drought that we're in? And we've got this wedding. We can't have a dead yard here for them. That would be terrible. So we started brainstorming and we're like, okay, we're going to have to water it some more. And so we had, in the middle of the night, it goes off for like 20 minutes and they all are in rotations and it waters the grass. And it's so hot. I mean, it's been like 107. It was down to 103, and we were all excited that there was like this cool front coming through. It was so funny. And it's dry wind and it's just hot, right? So there's not a ton you can do to keep that grass, super green. Thankfully, we have well water, so we're not having to pay for that, or we would have zero-scaped yard with gravel like a lot of people do, because that's just so expensive. It takes so much time and effort. And so, I just was thinking about that. Sometimes there's seasons in our business that are like a drought where you're just not getting the rain that your business needs and that your heart needs. So you're not getting the results that you want. And so then those are the expectations, that we have. And then before long, we start comparing ourselves. And so we're like, she's killing it on her business. Like, look at her, she's going really fast. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm not hearing anyone talk about that they're really moving super fast. I'm just not. I mean, top down, like across the board, NMD teams, like everyone's kind of like, whoo, what's going on here? You have pockets of people that are definitely moving and shaking, and they've got some great things going with their team. They're super intentional about team building right now. In a drought season, economy wise, you're going to have, so when it's in that dip drought, you're going to have more team members join you. When the economy's high, you're going to have more customers join you. So if your conversations right now are all built on customer only, you're going to really feel that drought even more, because people are wanting to save money, make extra income. They need some more money just in their everyday general budget. You know, gas is up, food is up, all of those prices. Inflation is really affecting especially lower income families. And they are looking for a second stream of income, or just to offset their costs for their Juice Plus. You know, your customers are looking at their budget and they're thinking, oh, things are getting tight. Like, what has to give? What do I need to let go of? We don't want Juice Plus to be on their mind, right? Like, we want them to have had such a good experience. They're not going to cut that. But maybe the wife feels that way, but the husband's looking at numbers and he's like, something has to give. You have to let that go. Absolutely, we've got to be having the conversation of attracting teams. So in that drought time, when we've got less customers coming in, we should be having more team members coming in if we're having team member conversations, if we're having invitation to the team, if you're really listening for the need, not just for the product itself, but the business as well. And we've talked about what some of that verbiage is in the past. You guys can go back to those and maybe we'll cover some of that. But so if those expectations, we expect people just to order right away. And you know what? 2020, we did, right? Like, all things COVID, people were scared about their health. They were now awake to kind of the message we had been shouting for a decade. And then they're like, oh, I need to do something to keep my immune system strong. And so we got a lot of customers 2020. I don't know if you guys noticed that, even part of some of 2021. And then things shifted, things changed. And like I said, that economy changes and it does affect business. I don't know if you guys have other people and friends that have businesses like restaurants, different, in-person businesses, or mom and pop shops, or like a brick and mortar business, as people would call it, that have had to be closed. Restaurants that have had to close down. It's just, things have shifted. Things have shifted on social media, where, think about when Facebook parties were like all the rage, right? And we did a ton of Facebook parties, and we had people getting into the Facebook parties, and like Facebook groups were a big thing, and they were for quite a while, but it's just changed. It's shifted. Now you've got, more short videos, and people want to be taught something in a short amount of time. And that's what reels would be, or stories. Even more so, like posts on Facebook are kind of like lifestyle stories, like this is what I'm up to, or these are my thoughts, where stories and reels, they're quick snapshots of educational bites or entertainment. And that's people, it's just kind of shifted. That's what they're looking for. So how we're talking and how we're approaching people, that has to shift as well. So if our expectation is we're going to keep doing business like we've always done business, I'm going to keep doing business with the same skill set I've always had. I don't want to do social media. I don't like to do events. I just want to do one simple change. I don't want to learn how to make sourdough. Whatever, right? Expectation. I'm just going to do things like I've always done them, and I expect people to respond the same way. That's just kind of unfair. It's not the way of life. It just isn't. And I would say it takes more exposures now for people to order Juice Plus than I've ever seen in the past. Like, just being honest with you guys, it's not a quick conversation. Somehow that has changed too. I think partly it's because so much information is coming at us, and especially on social media, how many ads are coming at us. I personally like Facebook ads. I'm always finding things on there that, like, oh, I didn't know I needed that thing, but now I see the thing and I want the thing. I'm notorious for like, look what I bought from Facebook. Like, I like the ads, but not everybody does. But there's just so much information that's coming our way. It's flooding our prospects' minds as well. Are we just another ad of something else expecting them to buy? what sets that apart? What sets us apart from that? So expectations, are we expecting to do things like we've always done, follow up a couple of times and expect that they're going to watch that video? And then, like I said, that companion in the front seat, that's comparison, starting to compare each other, compare products, compare businesses, compare companies, other success versus ours. There's just a lot of trouble that we can get into with that. That comparison is a cancer. It will eat your soul, not just your happiness. It will eat your soul. It like eats the joy away from life. And you can easily get sucked into that mindset of, everyone else has it better somehow. And we don't even like really recognize, like, I wouldn't say that, right? Like, I wouldn't say, I'm stuck in a rut because I'm comparing myself to everyone else. It's like little things. It's little thoughts that we give time and attention to. It's a statement that we make. It's not being, able to celebrate somebody else's achievement. It can show up in like really sneaky ways. So just watch that. Are there comparison thoughts that you're having? Are there expectation thoughts? And if there are, you can bet in that back seat, that's where doubt's living. That's where he's hanging out, and he's feeding both of those. They feed each other. The expectations and the comparisons send messages back to him. He's sending messages back up front, and it can just make for a lousy ride, like I said. So when doubt comes in, ask yourself, am I doubting this season right now where I'm at because of expectations that just aren't realistic anymore? Am I comparing myself to somebody else or something else, or even just like where I want to be, right? Like, I had expected I would be an EMD right by now. Like, I don't want to just be an IMD. I love that. I'm so thankful for that, right? Like, gratitude is the antidote to both of those, to comparison. If I start comparing, oftentimes it's just going to keep leading and keep feeding that until I really walk into gratitude. So consistent effort is going to be one of the antidotes. Gratefulness is going to be one of the antidotes. Just even recognizing that's the space that you're in, and then just like sitting in it for a moment. Like, we don't want to pretend it's not there. Like, okay, I'm sad about this, or I'm angry about this, or I'm, frustrated about this. This isn't where I wanted to be by now. I wanted something else. I wanted this to look different. So what do I do with that? And, then stepping into action. So that's the third antidote, is really starting to take action. So when we're taking action and we're talking to people, we're doing those events, even if we're like, I don't know if anyone's going to come. Are they not coming because it's busy summer? Guys, summer is a different beast. I warned us all about this in May. Like, summer is just different. People are on vacation. They're spending money on vacations or on trips. Their mindset is just different. It's kind of the lazy days of summer for some families. It's like exponentially busier because they're involved in this sports camp and they're going to this vacation and they're doing this. And so their mind is pulled all of these different directions, and they're just not focusing on the aspect that we would love for them to focus on right now, which would be health and nutrition, right? So guess what happens though when all the kids start going back to school? If you have been consistent for the last 2 months, you're going to start getting results where people are going to start ordering. If you've consistently had conversations, you've been consistent in your events and inviting them, you've been consistent in your follow-up of, hey, what do you think of those videos? If you've been consistent in that activity, even if you've not really gotten much of a response with that, I promise you the harvest is coming. You've planted the seed, you've been watering it, it's going to come to fruition. But if you haven't done anything over the summer, that's, it's okay. That's your choice. It's your business. You decide that. But just be careful that you're not, comparing somebody else's harvest to your planting, right? Like, that's not fair either. Or somebody else's harvest to your watering those seeds. So it takes about 3 months of starting activity before you really start to see the results of that. I don't like that. Do you guys like that? I don't really like that. I want to talk to somebody. I want them to order right away. I don't want the delay to be there. And sometimes it's not, like, especially if that need is really strong that they have, then that's going to be a shortened window. So the faster, the better we can get at really helping them see what that need is, the better chance that conversation is going to be shorter and we're going to be able to help them. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that. And one of the reasons why this came up is because my daughter turned 18 yesterday and we signed her up as a partner. And we've been having some great conversations with people from the beginning of August. And one of them was one of her classmates. And she knows that this girl did not miss one day of school the whole kindergarten through 12th grade. Not even one day of school. She's super diligent. She's super committed. She's off to college. And I just said, what if we start a conversation with her? Because obviously she's very diligent and she's very disciplined, and, wants the advantage as much as she, whatever advantage she would be able to get. I'm thinking as she's walking into college, let's see if we can start this conversation with her. So we were together, she started the conversation and, just checking in on her. And then eventually I was like, okay, say, this, like, I think we said something like, I know you're super diligent about everything in your life. And I know this is kind of a jump in conversation, but I'm just curious, how do you plan to support yourself nutritionally when you go off to college? Because that's typically not the time that people eat the best. And it's just easy to get busy and all the things. And so she was like, yeah, I have been thinking about that. And I do eat healthy, but I could do better. So they have this conversation. So Brielle shared with her, and then she said, I said, okay, now ask her if you can send some videos. So she asked her, she said, yeah, that would be great. I would like to learn more. And so Brielle ended the message, and I wasn't in there, like we separated from this point. And she ended with, okay, let me know what you think about the videos. And so she put a heart on it. And then that was it. But I didn't know that last piece. Like, we had just had the conversation. So later I said, hey, how's that conversation going with her? And she said, oh, she's not interested. And I was like, really? Because she seemed interested. Like, I said, let me see the conversation. So she gives me her phone, and the last message literally had a heart on it. And I was like, I think she is interested. And she was like, no, she didn't say anything about the videos, and she didn't ask to order. And I was like, oh, okay, expectation, like a new team member. I mean, like, she just is new at this, right? Even though I've trained her whole life. And I was like, oh, love, it doesn't work that way. Like, it just is never going to work that way. We wish it was, but like, so rarely do they ever, come on and just, tell us, okay, yes. And I said, you just sent the videos and she gave you a heart. Like, it could have been, a mad face or like just nothing. And she was like, well, she didn't say she wanted to order. I said, she hasn't even watched the videos yet. And I said, plus you didn't end with a question. You just said, let me know. And so I said, what if you had ended with, I'm really excited to hear what you think. I value your opinion. I'm going to check in with you in a couple of days and see what you think. And that's not really a question, but it is like setting up the follow-up so that when the follow-up happens, it's not like, oh, where'd this come from? So you could say, can I follow up with you in a couple of days to see what you think? You end it in a question. If you want a response, always end in a question. So I thought that was a good example of like the expectation that's in our mind. And then the second one I wanted to share was with a conversation that my daughter Ansley had with a gal that graduated with our son. So she's a couple of years older, but she reached out to Ansley and was super interested in Juice Plus and the business side of things. And her mom is somebody I have worked with, like sharing information, ladies, probably 4 years, at least 4 years. I've like done a presentation at work. She's an esthetician and her daughter's now a massage therapist. Like 4 years ago, I saw her at a booth probably a year ago, and she came up and she was like, oh, Stacy, I need to get on that Juice Plus. And we gave some gummies to her son. All this year, I've invited her to events. I've been like just nothing. Like, she'll say, oh, I can't come or whatever, and just no movement at all. And so I sent a message to the mom and said, hey, looks like your daughter's interested in this. Can we get together? Like nothing. There was nothing. At a wedding shower, they were both there. And I was like, yes, I can talk to them in person. So after the shower was over, they were about to leave. And so I went and walked up to them and I just started the conversation with, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I can, finally talk to you guys. We've all been so busy. It's been crazy trying to reach each other. And they were like, oh, I know, it's just been such a busy summer and we're both working so much. And then I said, well, I wasn't sure because I sent you guys a couple messages and I was like, are they thinking if this lady sends me one more message? And we were laughing about it and just kind of made a joke. And they're like, no, we are interested. And my son keeps saying, Mom, when are you going to order me that juice plus? And so we were able to just talk and build their confidence. And Ansley came and joined me and had this great conversation and they're like ready for links, like, okay, let's go ahead and sign up, let's get ordered. And so I was like, all right, this is what we're going to do, kind of gave a process and they were like left and we were all happy and it was fine. And so that was another example of how we can get into our mind and start making up stories, but until you talk to the person, like really talk to them, that was the benefit of actually talking to them in person, seeing them. It changed everything. The whole conversation went in my head, they're not interested, they're blowing us off, to they're ready to be partners. I mean, like, that's a very different picture, right? And so we just have to be super careful of what we're letting fester in our own minds. And that, I feel like that is the comparison, even if it's the expectation and the comparison of time, that doubt starts to feed that. And I didn't say the right thing. I didn't do the right thing. I didn't do it in the right timing. I'm not a good enough customer care person. Like, have you guys had somebody cancel Juice Plus lately? We could all raise our hand. It's just the way of business. It's just the way it is. I've been doing this for 20 years. I think I have like 75 or 80 customers total. If I had 5 customers a month for 20 years, how many customers I would have, right? I have 75. So that means I've had a lot of canceled customers over the years. Do you guys look at me or my business and say, she's such a loser. Like, she's terrible at customer care. She can't even keep a customer. All of her customers cancel. She's not really helping. And like, I have to be careful that I don't say that. Be careful that you're not saying that. Nobody else thinks that. It's just the way of business, but we're harsh on ourselves. And so I'm giving you guys permission. This summer has been interesting. It's just an interesting time in history. It's an interesting time in our business. Okay, like, we just got a new CEO. There's some unsure, like, it's been a rocky last couple of years. It's just a little bit different. And so we have to adjust the expectations, do things in a different way, be open to changing how we're doing business, really watch that comparison. If you're going to compare something, compare one day's activity to the next. That's it. You just do the activity. You're talking to people, you're hosting events, you're inviting people to events, increasing your skill set all along the way, right? Like, continue learning, pouring into that personal growth, and then just keep moving forward. And if you're doing that, you will get results. I promise you. You guys can say, Stacy promised, if I do the activity, I'm going to get results, because I've seen it. And I tell my team that. Cindy's on here. She could tell you. I tell them, activity always begets results. Always. You just have to trust that, and you have to just stay in enough momentum, talking to enough people to be able to get the results in a timely manner, with the expectation, the understanding it's probably going to be delayed, greatly delayed, and that's okay, because we're talking to new people all the time. So I hope that's helpful to you guys this morning. If you have a situation where you're kind of just stuck in follow-up and you want some help with that, we've got a couple minutes. Let's open that to this group, and just maybe like think of, okay, I've got this conversation. It's just kind of dead in the water. I'm not sure where to go with it next. Maybe we can generate some ideas and help you with that. Or if you want to share, like, if this spoke to you somehow, share a related story, we'd love to hear from you guys. So just remember, you're muted. If you want to talk, unmute.
Hey, Stacy, it's Patty. Finally got on. I had technical difficulties. I have an interesting thing. One of my new team members was somebody I met in 2018. I forgot that I had met her, and then my chiropractor recommended her to me to get on Juice Plus. And so I was just thinking about that. It's like if I would have stayed consistent with her since 2018, she would have been a team member a lot sooner and gotten on the product a lot sooner. But it just shows you that people still want what they needed, years ago. And so we should never give up. And just being on Level Up, just a reminder of Lauren LaHave, how long Jeffer Birdie shined on her or dripped on her to try to get her to join. So anyway, I love the reminder, and that we are in more of a challenging time now. So we do need to do the follow-up even more. So thank you for that. I so needed this call.
You're welcome, Patty. And would you say too that there's an aspect of timing for her, right? Absolutely. Like that's kind of not something we didn't touch on. We have the expectation that they're on the same timetable we are, and they're not. And it'll come back into conversation when it's the right timing for them. And it's kind of always in the back of their mind. And then when it really pertains to them, it really applies, then that's when they're ready to take action. So just be careful that we're not, so hard on ourselves on that side of it too. It just really could be not the right timing for them. This is a long haul journey. It's not just fast sprints. Sometimes those fast sprints come along, but a lot of it's just a long haul. You're in it for the long journey, and you just keep talking to people. Carol, did you want to share something?
If you're talking to me, yes.
Okay, go ahead, love.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that I just happened to get on your call this morning, and it was almost like you wrote that or spoke that specifically to me. You just identified what my greatest weakness is I'm so afraid people are thinking I'm trying to sell them something, when really I'm trying to help them. And so if they don't, for myself, when I heard about it, it just made immediate sense to me. And I just expect everybody else is going to have the same reaction. Everything that you said just spoke so clearly to me. I'm really grateful I got on your call.
I'm glad you're here with us too. You're welcome, Carol. And isn't that true? If we said yes fast, we expect everyone else to say yes fast. But if you said yes slowly and it took exposures over time, you can get stuck in that too, where you think, I can't ask her if she's ready to order. It hasn't been 4 years and 12 videos yet. Like it took me that long. So it's going to take her that long. And so that person will be less, they'll be more hesitant to say, hey, would you like to get started? Because they think, it hasn't been enough exposures. So we have to be careful on both of them, that we're not giving them too much time because we took a lot of time, or we're expecting them to be fast because we were fast. That's such a great point. Thank you, Carol. Anyone else want to share?
Stacey, I have a quick question.
Okay.
I have two scenarios. One person, she bought the product, and I don't even think she's taking it, because when I talked to her, she's kind of said she's taken a little bit of it. And so I keep checking on her, but I guess I don't know. I feel the same way. I don't know really where to dive in with following up with her, like just asking her. So, is there a reason you're not taking the product? And my second scenario is a young lady, and she just told me the other day, I trust you, but I've basically done MLM before and didn't succeed. So I was going to ask her, and I just kind of wanted some feedback. Can you tell me more about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I want to know other information.
Yeah, that's right. Asking questions. Lisa's got it. Asking questions and finding out why is the customer not taking it. Had same conversation with one of my customers. She said, hey, I got charged this week. I haven't gotten any new product. Why did I get charged for Juice Plus? Well, it's one of her monthly payments, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in the second shipment, and she still didn't understand how the monthly payments work. So I just said, let me call you. So I called her real quick so we could explain it without being through the text messaging. And so obviously she said, well, I've got a lot of Juice Plus left. And I said, yeah, that was a 4-month supply that was sent to you. And she was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure nothing's going to be sent because I've got a bunch and I've been forgetting it lately. So I said, that can be pretty typical for customers. Why do you think you're forgetting? Like, what is it about? And she's like, I don't know. like, I know it's good for me, but I forget. And so I said, do you leave it out on the counter or do you put it away? And she was like, well, I put it away because I don't want to see it out on the counter. It just looks messy. And I was like, I am the exact same way. So I had to find a way to make it pretty. And I have a new customer that's the same way. Or she's a team member, I know her, like her house is so cute, decorated. If Juice Plus bottles are on the counter, she's going to end up putting it away. And all of her other supplements were in a corner in the kitchen and they didn't take them. So I was like, I just know if you can find a cute way to display it, like cute little jars and make it pretty, then you'll leave it out and you guys will take it. So I sent her my picture and I sent her my new team member's picture that she had sent to me. And this customer was like, oh yeah, that's so cute. And she's like, oh, I have like 3 little jars. I think that'll work. I'm going to get those out. And I said, okay, send me a picture once you get it all decorated and set out and cute. And she's like, okay, I will. So that was asking the question that was for her. Maybe it would be for somebody else they're having a hard time swallowing the capsules, or, it could be a myriad of different things, but trying to find what it is, then building their belief through more videos and more education and inviting to events into that community. When they hear other people's stories, that really makes a difference. That's why I love those coffee chats. And then, okay, Lisa, you said something about the new team member. Somebody remind me, what did she say about the new team? Or Lisa, what did you say? Unmute yourself again, love.
She said she's tried MLM and it didn't work for her.
Okay. Yeah. So again, ask a question. Tell me more about that. Like you said, it sounds like you didn't have a good experience. How much training did you have? I always think that's funny when someone's like, oh, I've tried that before and I didn't do well with it. Okay, but like, what did that look like? That means you had one conversation with someone and it didn't work. Like you went to 4 conferences with the company, you were on weekly trainings, you had a system and a method. Like there's a difference between that. It would be like me going to work one day at a new job and something I've never done. And they put me on the front line of working and I do that for the day. And at the end, I'm like, I made mistakes. I broke the machine. I didn't know where I was going. I got lost in the factory. Like I tried working and it's just not my thing. It's not a good thing for me. Like, is that really a fair assumption? Probably. How much was her buy-in of that? What was she looking for with that? But just asking questions, just sit with her in that for a while and find out what it is. And you can say, well, I'm the same way. I was not good at this when I first started either. I just didn't know how to do it, but there's definitely a skill set to this. And it's something that can be learned. And we've got a lot of resources I'd love to help teach you. I'm guessing Alita has something she can add to this. What you got, Alita?
Oh, sorry.
No, good.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to give them an out. Maybe say, gosh, that's interesting. I'd love to get another partner on the phone with you and see if it's a fit for you. Might not be, but you never know, and sometimes your upline or somebody close to you could say something in a different way that they would be able to resonate more with you. And also, if it's a good friend of yours, sometimes another person looks like the expert. Of course, they're not. But to have that third person involved in that conversation always makes it a little bit more intriguing because maybe they have a different story. And so I would say something like, it's always great to have like-minded people get together. I have a great friend that kind of reminds me about how she started when she first started. I'd love to have her see. Let's just see if it's a fit. It might not be. Let's see if it is,
Excellent reminder.
I love that. I want to have the conversation in person because it feels like every time we start something on text or messenger, it doesn't keep going. And I've been trying to get her over to my house for probably 2 months. And then again, last summer, she actually lost a sister last year of cancer. And I had actually given her some product because she was young, didn't have a lot of money. And so I feel like I really, and now this young lady's recently divorced, has 2 kids. So she has so many whys, but so I don't know. I'm just keep thinking I need to have this conversation in person where we can just keep it going and not keep getting interrupted.
So when I first started, my story was crazy because I didn't even know there was a business to it. But if I would have thought that I had to meet somebody in person, I might not wanted to. How about doing it with Zoom? Because you can look them in the eye and just say, I'm sensing you're a little hesitant. What's going on? And that way that gives her the liberty to be able to say, I'm not feeling like getting together in person. A lot of people do a lot of business in person. I think the in person is a very beautiful touch, but sometimes for some people, especially if she's mourning or things, she doesn't want to be in the public. If she has a breakdown or whatever, you have to understand that maybe not everybody likes to do it. Give her the option. What would you like? How would you like to meet up with me? Would you like Zoom? Would you like to be on the phone? Or would you like to meet in person? I'd love to treat you to some iced tea, something like that.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Thanks.
Excellent. And the other thing I thought of too, Lisa, is if somebody's life is in turmoil, like there's a lot going on, it's going to be harder for them to be able to focus and do business. So it could just be a timing issue with them. And I've just found personally, if their life is a mess, Juice Plus Business doesn't fix that. A lot of times it exposes the mess. It exposes, mindsets that they have and choices that they make and how they manage their time or their time choices. And that just comes to fruition. I think it's different when somebody sort of has things together in life and then something crazy happens like out of the blue and like, boy, their life is turned upside down, but they still walk in with a lot of skill sets. They can take those skill sets and that devastation and that desperation, if you will, can really be the fuel to help them move forward in their business. But if you look back and it's just a wave of like chaos and disruption and like there's just no like any sort of balance in their life, and then you're asking them, this business is simple, but it's not easy. It's a harder mental thing. And sometimes they just don't have the capacity at this time, as much as we want it for them, right? Like we can see this would be the vehicle, like get in the car. It's so much better. Like we have options and I can help take you here. They're just not even at a place where they can get in the car with you and they're just not there. And so it could be a timing issue, but if somebody's super interested and they really want that, they will pursue you back to some degree as well. So you're not chasing them. We can't chase someone that just the interest isn't there or the timing's not right. So thank you, Alita, for sharing that with us. All right. Well, I don't want to go too long. I appreciate you guys joining in and giving your feedback. I will put this on Boxer. I'll give you guys the recording, and then of course it will be in our DMO app. So thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful week. Let's get out there, get some conversations, all those back to school conversations. People are like done with the crazy of summer. They're getting back into school. Let's have the conversations with them. Let's be the answers they're looking for, the solutions they know that they need. We are that. You guys are doing really good work. What you are investing in is people. They're the only thing that lasts eternally, right? Like that's the only thing we need to invest in is people. And what you're doing is good work. And I'm just really proud of you guys. Dr. Sears is tomorrow. That's right. You can invite anyone. You don't even have to do that one as a watch party. Anyone can join in. Tons of lines for them to join in. We've got a lot of great things going. Let's just keep going, keep pressing, keep working at it. And so proud of you guys. You have a great week.